Today we are going to look at few examples of binary to denary conversion. So first let's count the bits that we have. The number of the bits that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have a total of 8 bits. So the first step was to create a table. How many bits are there? 8 bits, which means we have to make a table of 8 columns. So let's do that. So this is the table that we created. आपकी टेबल की पहली रो में पावर्स ऑफ 2 आनी चाहिए. 2 to the power of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. क्योंकि हमारे पास 8 बिट्स है तो हमने we have like gone till 8 power ना. So here is the table that we created. आपकी टेबल के पहले रो में हमेशा पावर्स ऑफ 2 आने चाहिए. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64 and 128. Once you are done making the table, the next step that you have to do is copy this exact question down in your table. Like first we have the number 0, so we have to write 0 here. Then we have 0 again, so we are going to write 0 again. Then we have 1. Then we have 1 again. Then we have 2 zeros, so let's write it down here in the table. And then we have 2 ones. And the final step is that we have to now identify the powers of 2 that contain 1. Okay, so now the reason that we are choosing ones only because I told you earlier that 1 means on and 0 means off, which means कि जितने भी powers of 2 है जिनके नीचे 0 लिखा हुआ है हमने उनको ignore करना है. जैसे कि for example this 4, we don't care about this. The 8 and 64, 128. Why? Because there is 0 written underneath it. बाकी जो हमारे पास numbers बचते हैं जैसे कि 1 है इसके नीचे 1 लिखा हुआ है. So we are going to mark this. Then we have 2. We are going to mark this as well. Why? Because इसके नीचे 1 लिखा हुआ है, which means on. Then we will ignore this one. क्यों? क्योंकि इस 4 के नीचे हमारे पास 0 लिखा हुआ है. 8 के नीचे भी 0 लिखा हुआ है. 16 को हम फिर से मार्क करेंगे. 32 को भी मार्क करेंगे क्योंकि इसके नीचे 1 लिखा हुआ है. And then ignore 64 and 128. Why? Because it's like you can think of this like a switch that we like 0 is a switch that you have turned off and 1 means on. Okay, now जितने भी आपने numbers mark किए हुए हम इन सब को add करेंगे. Like we have to add 32, 16, 2 and 1. So let's write 32 plus 16 plus 2 plus 1. Okay, so now right after adding these all numbers, we get the number 51. This means that this binary number is actually 51. Okay, so this was our first example. Let's do another one. Let's go through another example. Okay, so what was the first step? To write down the powers of 2 from right to left, which is 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64 and 128. What was the next step? It was to write down the whole question underneath these powers. Okay, so first comes 0, then it's all ones, so let's just write all ones. Okay, the next step was to identify which numbers had 1 beneath it. Like this number has 1 this one all have ones except this one. So now let's ignore this one because it has 0 underneath it, and mark the others. Okay, our final step was to add all the marked numbers that have 1 beneath it, which is 64, 32, 16, 8, 4 to 1. We are going to add these all. So let me add them. 64 plus 32 plus 16 plus 8 plus 4 plus 2 and plus 1. So let me calculate what do we get after adding all of this. Okay, so the number we get by summing these all is 111. So this is our final answer, 111, that was represented like this in binary. And this was all for today. Thank you and have a nice day.